Okay, so today we are going to start execution, and the first step in execution is tendering, or we can also call it as subcontracting. So, in this area, a freight order is subcontracted to multiple carriers, and based on their response, we finalize one of the carrier who will be serving this freight order. So, this process is called as tendering, where we send tender to these carriers. There are different ways of sending a tender from SAP TM system to carriers. One is through mail, through SMS, and there's an inbuilt carrier collaboration portal. Uh, and and carriers can be given access to that portal. It's an internet portal, and they can log into that portal and see the tenders given by shippers. So these are the ways in which tender can be sent to a carrier. Now let me share my screen and we'll see the settings that we have to do to set up this tendering process. There are some customizing settings to be done in SPRO, and then tendering profile creation and all will be done in WBC. Whatever tendering related things setups are required, it will only be done in TM. So only the order flowing, the order creation is different in case of when we do when we create order directly in TM and when it comes from ECC. After that, the freight unit building, planning, and planning profile, selection profile, whatever we have discussed after that is only in TM system, transportation network creation. So we'll go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG. So in freight order management, we have tendering. So first one is define settings for tendering by email. So in this, we will have keywords, settings for email communication. So let's say how do they send a keyword in mail so that system will understand that this is accepted or rejected. So keyword marker is %, parcel end marker is this symbol. These are the symbols for these specific functions. Then what keywords do we have? So these are the keywords: accept, cur, currency, price, rejection reason, and RFQ. And the values: N means no, Y means yes, with respect to each keyword. So that's how email tendering can be handled. But this, with carrier collaboration coming in place, this thing is kind of outdated. None of the carrier they want to go with email tendering because accessing the emails, keeping the track of it is very difficult process. Okay, so these are the settings for email tendering, uh, keywords and the keyword values. The main settings for tendering lies in this area. Define general settings for tendering. Okay, and parallelly, let me open freight order type where we assign these settings. So first of all, we have to make our freight order type relevant for subcontracting if we want to go for tendering. And then we have some tendering related settings here. Default use condition, and these are the settings: process settings, communication settings. So these are the settings that we are going to discuss in this area. Here we have process, communication, these visibility settings and all. They will be used in process settings. So we'll start with visibility setting. So as the name says, in visibility setting we are setting up the system in such a way that what should be visible to a carrier and what should not be visible to a carrier when we send a freight order details. Okay, so this is ID description. Stop dates visibility means for a location, what is the start time, what's the end time, whether it should be read only, should be editable, it should be editable for information only, or hidden. So out of these four options, which option we want to put for stop dates visibility? So to this visibility setting we have assigned read only. Okay. Second one is price limit. So price limit is like one is not relevant, read only, and hidden. So whatever charges are determined for that carrier for that freight order, whether those charges should be visible to carrier or not, that will be decided based on the configuration that we do against this field, whether it should be read only, not relevant, or hidden. Second one is submitted price visibility. So price limit and submitted price visibility are two different things. Usually price limit is for us internal, that for this order this much will be the price limit, a minimum limit. Okay. Submitted price visibility is for that carrier we would have agreed for some price for a specific lane. So that is the charges. If carrier accepts the freight order, those charges will be applicable. So when we send those prices, we can sometimes we can give an option editable to carrier so that if charges are changed for that lane or something, carrier can edit the prices also and respond. So let's make it as editable. And the lowest price uh, specifies whether a carrier is permitted to view the lowest price that has been proposed for a tendering process step. If the carrier can view the lowest proposed price, the system displays only the price information. So we'll see when we mention these settings as read only, what do we see in the collaboration portal with respect to lowest price? Okay, so this is visibility setting in which we check what should be visible and what should not. Okay. Okay, the next one is rejection reason codes. So here only the description code and description is there for rejection reasons. In case if carrier rejects or if we rejects the tender, then we have to select the reason code against that. Okay, the next one is email and SMS content. So in standard we have been provided some standard contents for different scenarios, and these contents are configured in this page. So in case of cancelled tendering process, this will become the email body, this will be the email subject, and this will be the SMS text for cancelled tendering process. Similarly, for published RFQ, this will be the content. So these contents are having some data in backend. This is the ID only. SAP script text. These text IDs are maintained in these areas. For this way we can configure that for a email body or subject or SMS text with respect to these scenarios, what text should be triggered for all these processes. Second one is published request for quotation, then awarded quotation, then rejected quotation. So in all these processes, which text should be sent? And these are these things will be the attachments, documents for tendering by email, documents for inbound error notification. And we have some general settings for email and SMS content. This is language, time zone, country. Email address for automatic inbound handling. So we'll have to pass an email address here which will be used as a recipient ID when carriers are responding to the tenders by mail. Okay, what should be the target URL in email? So we can also configure a link along with the email. On the link, carrier can click and they will get a login credentials. With the login credentials, they can open either collaboration portal or they can open this overview tendering for carriers. So with that link, they'll be able to see the details of freight order. And this is for the UI theme. What should be the theme for SAP collaboration portal for that carrier? And these are email security settings, encrypt emails and sign emails. So if we have checked, then these settings will be enabled. So these are the settings for email and SMS content and the recipient related settings. Okay. So the next one is process settings. In process settings, we define these different settings. Let us create a new one. So okay, so in the process setting, we have to assign a tendering manager. So this tendering manager is a tendering user ID, the person who is going to execute the tendering. So I have assigned my user ID here. Then visibility setting is something we defined in the first step. That setting we have to assign to Then visibility settings is the one which we defined in first step. We will assign it here. Then tendering profile. This tendering profile will be created in NWBC. So let me see if there is some tendering. So visibility setting is which all things we are making visible to carrier and which all things we are hiding from carrier. So in this visibility setting, if you see, let me just save this. Here we have configured in ZTM prof that stop dates with respect to a location should be read only. We can keep it as editable also. Then carrier can edit the dates and respond to us. And we can also, if we want, we can make it as hidden. Similarly, there are some price related settings. If we want to make it read only for carrier or if we want to make it editable or hidden. So these are the options available in visibility settings. Okay. So tendering profile will be defining in NWBC. For now, I am assigning this tendering profile, and we'll see what controls are mentioned in this tendering profile in NWBC after completing this. Okay. The next thing is carrier selection settings. So we saw carrier selection setting definition during planning profile creation. So the same carrier selection settings can be defaulted here if we want. Otherwise, we can use the carrier selection settings from planning profile also. Or we can also assign a default carrier selection settings in the freight order type here. This also can be used if we don't assign anything here. So we can leave it as blank. The next thing is maximum response time in hours. So when we have tendered a freight order to a carrier, how much is the maximum response time? That can be mentioned here in hours. So it can be anything like 5 hours, something like that. The next thing is consider business partner calling hours. So in business partner master, when a business partner is created in ECC, from ECC in TM, there is a placeholder to maintain business partner calling hours. So this calling hours will be a mix of uh, factory calendar and so this is calling hours for a business partner. It will be a mix of factory calendars and operating times. So do we want to consider it for doing tendering or not? This is a check for that in process settings. Okay. Submitted price review threshold. So we can, if we want to give, let's say we have submitted 50,000 as the price for a particular freight order. Then if carrier is able to make some changes to that and respond, so after how much percentage variation do we want to review it, or we want to otherwise it will be accepted. So let's say we say that up to 5% 5% is review threshold. So if the changes are made within 5%, let's say for 50,000, if carrier has increased 2,000, so 2,000 is less than 5%. So there won't be any review required. It will be accepted. It's like that. Then restart tendering after rejected confirmed. So if all the carriers have rejected, let's say five carriers are there, if all the carriers have rejected the tender, then restart tendering after the tendering is rejected. So it will be restarted again with the first carrier. Then calculate charges after tendering. So this is standard charge calculation process. So in this case, we are saying that charge calculation should trigger after tendering process. So this is the process settings. We can default this process setting in the freight order type here in use type specific settings. So we can assign the process setting here. Next one is communication settings. So in communication setting, we will mention that which all things we want to communicate and how do we want to communicate. So in first email and SMS content setting, we have defined content for all these processes. There are 5 processes mentioned: send RFQ, send notification for cancelled, notification for sent RFQ, notification for awarded, and notification for rejected. So we have set up the content in step number 3 for these processes. Now in this setting, in communication setting, we are defining that which of these settings do we want to trigger. So we have checked email related settings. We have not checked any of SMS. So SMS will not be sent. Emails can be sent. So this is the use of communication settings. Similarly, in step number 6, we have these same settings against carrier IDs. So if we want to, let's say if our communication settings differs for each carrier, some carriers may say that you don't send me email, you send me SMS. In that case, we'll have to create a carrier specific communication settings where again the same checks will be there. EDI, mail cancel, mail sent, mail accept, mail reject. This first column is carrier ID. It is getting populated from master, business partner master. So we can assign it here. Let's say if we go to edit mode, and here this is the carrier. So first option, so in the search help it will only show business partner carriers. So this is our 1008080. Like this, we can assign the settings with respect to a carrier also. Okay, the next thing is default settings. So default settings are out of all the settings that we have defined in the 6 steps, which settings will be considered as default when none of the settings are determined. So which process setting will be default, which communication setting will be default, number range interval for RFQ. change documents for tendering profile means we are uh, activating the change logs. Allow tendering for documents in past. So these are the default settings for tendering. If we want to use the default settings in our freight order, then we have this first option here. Use default settings. So in this case, we don't have to assign any process or communication settings specifically to a freight order. If we select this, the default settings will be used. But these default settings are different than what we have defined. So let's assign the settings that we have defined for this freight order type. The ZTM proc is the process setting. ZTM 10 is the communication setting. So with this we can save the freight order. And the SPRO config part of tendering is completed. So all these things, all these steps are the uh, configuration related steps for tendering. So let me just show you again. In our process settings, we have assigned tendering profile as ZTM underscore tend. So this is the next thing that we are going to discuss now, that what is mentioned in this profile. But these the configurations which we have done till now are the uh, configurations to set up tendering in system. Okay, so this was the SPRO part of tendering. Now let's go to NWBC. So for enabling all the settings and uh, for controlling the conditions, FUBR, everything we are doing in application administration. So for tendering also we'll go to application administration for defining tendering profile. So here we have create, edit, display tendering profile. So we have assigned a tendering profile to the process settings. We'll open the same tendering profile here and see how it is maintained. So this is how a tendering profile looks like. There will be a ID description and then steps. In the steps, rules will be maintained how the tendering should happen. And so before that, we have two types of tendering. Just explain the types of tendering that we have. It is four, but the main category is two: peer-to-peer tendering and broadcast tendering. The difference between these two tendering processes is, in case of peer-to-peer tendering, the tendering happens one by one with carriers. Tender will be sent to first carrier. If first carrier accepts, it will be finalized. If first carrier rejects, it will be sent to second carrier. Similarly, if second carrier accepts, it will be accepted. If second carrier rejects, it will be sent to third carrier. So that's how it happens in peer-to-peer tendering. And these other two uh, difference within peer-to-peer is response required and no response required. In case of response required, we can we have to wait until carrier responds with accept or reject. we cannot send it to next carrier if carrier has not responded with any of these options. In second option, no response required. So each of the carrier is also having a limit, a response duration. If they don't respond within that duration, it can be triggered to next carrier. So in this case, it will be no response required. Without the response also, we have taken action. Okay. So this is peer-to-peer. The next one is broadcast tendering. So in broadcast tendering, the tenders will be sent. Let's say in the carrier ranking list, we have got three carriers. Tender will be sent to all these three carriers at the same time. So that is broadcast tendering. And within broadcast tendering, there are two scenarios. One is first acceptable offer, and second one is best offer. So first acceptable offer means, let's say out of three carriers, one has responded. Whoever confirms first, that carrier can be assigned to the freight order. And the second best offer means we will wait for all the carriers to respond, and then we'll evaluate the best offer and assign the carrier. Okay. So these are the tendering types that we have in system, and each step we have to assign either of these tendering types. Anyone can be assigned. Yes, yes, yes. So I have made the first step, and these steps will be executed one by one. So in this case, there are two steps. First step is peer-to-peer. So first, peer-to-peer tendering will be executed. When peer-to-peer tendering, we don't get any response based on peer-to-peer. In the step two, broadcast tendering will be executed. Okay. Now tendering process. Freight RFQ based, award manually. Freight RFQ based, award automatically. So in this case, RFQ based means we will not send the freight order uh, in the first as the first action. First RFQ will be sent, and then negotiations can happen on RFQ, and then finally, when both the parties have agreed on the common terms, then freight order will be awarded. So the award can be done manually or it can be done automatically. So this is for these two settings. Third one is direct tendering, send freight order directly. So in this case, no RFQ is being sent. Directly the freight order will be sent, and that will be the final one. Okay. So there can be some processes where we want to insert carrier in a step. That also can be done. So we can select a step and click on insert carrier. So carrier ID can be maintained here, and sequence number can be maintained. But these things, so in our case, we have created a transportation lane. In that transportation lane, we have created means of transport. Then we assigned carriers to it. So we can pull the carriers from transportation lane also without assigning it here. So in this step, get carriers from carrier assignment method. How the carrier should be assigned. Get carriers from ranking list. Get carriers from transportation lane master data. Get assigned carriers from freight order. Assign carrier manually. Okay. So these are the different ways how we can get the list of carriers. So in our case, we'll be pulling it from carrier ranking list. And carrier ranking list is created based on transportation lane master. Okay. So the next thing is this RFQ updates transportation allocation and business share. So this means when a RFQ is sent, so as part of our business share, we might have agreed with some carrier that 50% of our business will be served by this carrier on this lane. So when this tendering is happening, do we want to update the business shares also, business shares and allocations along with tendering? That for this lane, one more order has been given to carrier. So if we want to do that, we can select any of these options because there can be scenarios where we have, like when we have agreed that we'll give this much business to a carrier and we are giving, but carrier is rejecting. TAL is transportation allocations. How many orders we have allotted to a carrier. That track will be maintained in this section. Then the next one is relative price limit. Determines the effective absolute price limit from calculated price limit. So let's say this will be in percentage. Uh, let's say in this case we have checked this carrier specific freight agreement determination. So for Blue Dart carrier, we will determine the rates for Blue Dart from Blue Dart agreement. So if the rates are determined, what should be the relative price limit? So let's say first step is peer to peer. So we are saying 100% price uh, should be the proposed price for that order. Now when all the peer to peer carriers have rejected the tender, in broadcast tendering we want to say that we, because nobody is accepting it at that price, so we have to reduce the price. So in that case, we can say 95% of the total price, whatever is determined, will be sent as part of this step. So that is the use of relative price limit. We can give the percentages here. So let's say here we give 95. Okay. The next one, maximum response duration. So for each step, how much is the maximum response duration? We have given 55 minutes. So when the tender is sent to first carrier, we can wait for 55 minutes for their response, and based on the response we can proceed further. So this one is carrier specific freight agreement. If we check this, specific freight agreements can be accessed for price calculation. Then next one is price limit only or charge hierarchy. What do we want to show to a carrier? So charge hierarchy will be like when we have decided a amount for a carrier, let's say 50,000. How this 50,000 is arrived? It can be a straight 50,000 charge, or it can be charges based on different charge types, different cost heads for base charge, for fuel charge, something like that. So if we want to show price limit as a single value, we'll give this. If we want to show a charge hierarchy, cost head wise hierarchy. In that case, it will be shown. We can select charge hierarchy. Then next one is visibility setting again that we have defined in the configuration. So this is how a tendering profile is configured, and then this profile is assigned to the process settings, like we assigned it to our process settings. So we assigned it in different places. So one, the main which is related for tendering is process settings. See, in the process settings, we have assigned the tendering profile ZTM underscore tend. This is one placeholder for assigning tendering profile, and the other placeholder for assigning tendering profile is in planning profile. So let me open planning profile. So in the planning profile in carrier selection settings, we have mentioned that as part of carrier selection run, automatic tendering should trigger, and we have assigned the tendering manager and tendering profile here. This ZTM underscore 10, which we saw the definition in this. So if we want to trigger tendering right during the planning step, then this one will then this can be assigned in planning profile. If we want to trigger tendering separately from the freight order, then these settings can work. This process settings, communication settings. Yeah. So in the freight order type we saw here, we have given the process settings. We have assigned the process setting and communication setting. Okay. So this is the setup required for tendering uh, from SPRO side plus NWBC. Okay. Now there is one more thing that I will show you with respect to carrier collaboration portal access. Okay. So in our transportation lane, we have maintained two carriers. Let me open the lane. So we have done the tendering settings. Now the setting that I'm going to show you is required for carrier collaboration portal. So carrier collaboration portal is a portal which SAP has created. It is a web-based portal which can be accessed without being into VPN or without being into the carrier's shippers network. Carriers can log into this portal and see the orders coming from shippers. And they can also see their agreement, they can see the RFQs, they can raise the invoice from this portal. So for this portal, what setup is required? So one first thing is we have to activate the uh, service for this portal, collaboration portal, and it also requires a separate license. So I'll just show you the transportation lane first that we have defined for our process and which carriers we have assigned here so that we'll know for these many carriers we'll have to create a login ID. So these are the two carriers uh, for this means of transport 65 and 80. So Let us open their business partners master. So this is one business partner carrier. To this business partner, we have to create a relationship and we have to assign uh, a responsible person. Okay. So for that, we have to create a person. This carrier is created as organization, but for this role, we have to create a person. Okay, and let's say VRL contact person. So this activity we are doing as a shipper, we are creating IDs for carriers and will be providing it to them. And the role should be, in this case, the role should be internet user. And we saved the data. So a business partner 540 of type person is created with the role internet user. Now to this role we have to assign the credentials, and we can also assign the roles. Let me give my ID only and then I'll log in with this ID and show you how the collaboration portal looks like. There are some collaboration portal specific roles uh, that we have to assign to this user ID. Carriers can log into our portal and see the respective orders, whichever is assigned to them. If yes, yes, but it is hosted by shipper. Yeah, so this this collaboration or portal also will be obsolete in some logistics business network where so currently this collaboration portal is hosted by shippers. So if a carrier is serving 10 shippers, they will have to log into 10 different portals for accessing the orders. But with this LBN, it's a centralized portal hosted by SAP, which will create a link between shippers and a common login ID for carriers, where they can log in and see the orders coming from all the shippers. This is one role. So I've assigned these roles to this user, and now we have to link this user uh, to that carrier. Okay, so how do we link it? We'll see. We'll go to this relationships tab, and here we'll select the relationship category. So this person 540 is contact person for that organization. So we'll select this role is contact person for, and we'll give the uh, carrier ID here. So carrier ID is 1000065. So this relationship is built between this business partner 540 and carrier VRL logistics. Validity and all those things can be assigned. So this is saved. Okay, so our entire tendering process is set up now. We can proceed with some transactions. So yesterday we created a forwarding order. We created. So there are some freight units for which we can do the planning and tendering will be triggered. So let's open transportation cockpit and see the tendering from there directly. So based on our selection profile, these are the freight units which are eligible for planning. We can select any of these and click on optimizer planning and click on selected entries with all resources. That means we are planning only this entry for now, only the selected one, not all the entries. Okay, so messages are tendering for freight order demo $1 started successfully. How it started? Because in our planning profile, we have maintained automatic tendering should be triggered. Action after carrier selection run, automatic tendering, and this should be the tendering profile, this should be the tendering manager. That's how the tendering is started from right after planning. Okay. And if you see, if we select this freight order, we'll be able to see the details of this freight order in the below screen. So if we select the freight order here, all the freight order details will come in the screen. So you can see the carrier ranking based on the transportation lane data. We have selected these two carriers. Amount 15,400 is coming from VRL Logistics agreement, and nothing is coming for 10080 because no agreement is maintained. And this is coming from agreement because in the carrier selection settings we have maintained use transportation charges from TCM. So let me just remove it from here, and we will do use it from lane, so that we can see what we have maintained in lane and what has come as a result. I have maintained use transportation lane settings so that we can cross check with our data maintenance how the ranking is determined. Okay. So now let me just refresh this so that this result will get clear and we can rerun the planning for this order. So one more thing I want to show you here is, you remember in while discussing optimizer setting, we discussed about the two strategies, one for planning and one for transportation proposal. So in transportation cockpit, one is this optimizer which we are doing, and this transportation proposal, if we click on it, this will also run planning, but it will not accept the result automatically. It will ask, give us the options. So in this case, only one option is given to us, and we can select this and then click on accept, or we can cancel this also. So it is not necessary that we accept it, we can cancel also. If there are multiple results, we can pick one of those results. That is the use of proposals. Okay, so I'll select the freight unit and click on optimizer, selected entries for all resources. And now we'll see how the carrier rankings are determined based on the transportation lane data. We'll select the freight order and freight order details will be shown here. So we have set the priority as cost. Okay. So the cost for VRL is coming 16,272. How it is coming, we'll see. So in the lane, we have maintained 10 rupees per kilometer. For DHL, it is 12 rupees per kilometer. So based on the per kilometer rate, for the number of kilometers that is identified for this order, VRL is giving the less price. So first rank is given to VRL, second rank is to DHL. If we save the result, tendering will also start automatically. Okay, some errors have come for tendering. No steps specified in tendering plan for freight order demo. Stop dates cannot be in the past for FO. Okay, so it is saying because the dates are in past and okay, so let's take some other order. We'll take this one. For second order also, since the source location, destination location, everything is same, the carrier ranking will be same. First rank is VRL, second is DHL.